Welcome back, guys. Last episode, we spoke to the prolific, timeless photographer, Vava Ribeiro, and I hope you left that conversation feeling inspired and a little more childlike. I find so many similarities between the creative process and peak performance, and I hope that shined through. Both artists and athletes have a concept in their minds of what they're attempting to perform. And the way I sort of view it is it's the process of noticing the deviations, the mistakes, the errors in those attempts, and refining those attempts to get us closer to the target. The closer you get to that best effort, that is the process of making art and making great performances. Today, I'm here to introduce you to another living legend. I have such reverence for who José Arellano is as a man. For you as a listener, I challenge you to step into student mode for this because José has such beautiful insights. During this episode, I want you to pay close attention to our discussion of the subject-object shift. This shows up a lot in developmental psychology. Few people on the planet have made more of their subjective experience objective like José has. And I'll explain what that means in the episode. But after spending a significant portion of José's existence in gang life and in prison, his self-awareness is rooted in finding objectivity for dynamics that most people spend their whole life unaware of and ultimately dominated by. As a bonus, we are thrilled to share that the partnership between our nonprofit here, Deuce Community Inc., and Homeboy Industries is becoming even stronger as we step into a new level of support for those who are currently and formerly incarcerated. That's all for now. Stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy the episode. I remember watching you have a conversation with some guys and you were talking about samurais. And I didn't catch the whole thing, but I would love for you to fill me in on what I missed, because what I observed was a shift in these guys hearing what you were saying. So do you remember this? I think I've heard you reference samurais a couple times. So,
yeah, I think it's crazy. The other day I was in Buffalo, New York, and we had a couple of dudes out there and sitting down. It was one evening and we were just gathering after a number of talks and having some ice cream and just bonding. And I was hearing one of the younger homies, and he was talking about like these life lessons that people were lacing him up with as he was coming up in his neighborhood and coming up in the gang culture. And one of the lessons he was saying that he was taught, that one of his older homies, because he was shot recently, the dude that was sharing this story with me, he was shot. And he said that, I was like, well, how did it happen? How did you get shot? Like, you didn't run? Did you see it coming? He's like, I saw it coming. I'm like, so you didn't have enough time to run or whatever? And he's just like, nah. He said, one of my older homies told me, he said, chunk up the hood and die. Like, just throw up your neighborhood and die where you stand. And I was like, wow, he taught you that. Like, that was something that he was passing on to you. And he was like, yeah. And I said, damn. I said, when we were growing up, that was the opposite of the teachings that we were taught. When we were growing up, I said, it wasn't until 50 Cent came out that it was cool to get shot. Because when we were growing,
it seemed like the goal,
right? It wasn't a goal for us. It wasn't something that was impressive.
Yeah.
When homies would have like a zipper down their stomach, it was actually the opposite. It was like, fuck no.
Like a shame.
I'll be damned, if I get shot. Or if somebody catches me slipping like that. Like, it was the whole live to fight another day. You know what I'm saying? And so we were talking about this, and he was kind of amazed by what I was sharing with him. Like, what do you mean? So I explained more, and I said, yeah, like, rap made it cool to get shot. You know, rappers that survived being shot. And I said when we were growing up, it was literally like war. It was, as sad as it was like Iraq and fucking Baghdad. You know what I mean? It was, okay, how can we make it from school to home without getting shot? Because it wasn't a badge of honor. It meant that somebody had actually caught you slipping and gunned you down. And so I say that to say this because it's connected to the samurais. When I was sharing with those homies about the samurais, I was saying like everything had its time. Like our generation of gang culture and gang banging, and it had its time. And what I was sharing with those homies was like, it's over. It's done. You don't see no fucking samurais walking around with swords at the grocery store or, in parking lots or going to get a burger because the samurai season is over. It's done. Yeah. And so I said that to say is like what I was sharing with the homies was like the cholo shit, it's over. It's done. And one of the things that I think as human beings, we have a hard time like letting go. And what's also connected to the samurai is like death. It's like we have a hard time letting shit die. You know what I mean? Like that era is gone. It'll never return. Just like the samurai and just like the cowboys and Indians, you know what I mean? And everything else. You're not going to go to fucking Whole Foods and there's going to be a horse parked outside and the cowboy's going to walk out and jump on it. Yeah. With a 6-shooter on his hip, because it's over, and that's kind of what I was getting at when I was sharing that story with them.
Yeah, that's part of what I remember, and thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, you were sort of putting them on game as to the baddest warriors ever, and like talking up the samurai, and then like that was the punchline. Yeah. You're like, when's the last time you've seen one?
Yeah, when's the last time you've seen one? Exactly.
I mean, I guess this jumps us off into, and we'll bounce around, but a little bit of what you're doing now. I mean, I think when you were talking to those gentlemen, you were trying to coach them up, and let them know that it's over. Mm-hmm. But in a lot of ways, it's not over, right? I mean, we're still, we're still dealing with some of the pains of that lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And I guess talk to me about like where you're at now and a little bit about Homeboy.
Yeah, definitely. We are still dealing with it. It's just different now.
Okay.
And I guess that was one of the things I was trying to get across to them, and that it's okay, that it's over. But the stuff that we're dealing with is like, the gang culture and gang lifestyle is alive and in full effect. It's definitely different. I think they're navigating things that I could have never imagined. I think substance abuse issues and mental health issues are at an all-time high because people are self-medicating. Our way, I think our expression was violence, and yet that's still happening, at a very high rate. But I think one of the things that we're seeing is like the internal suffering, emotional suffering, and mental suffering that they're going through because it's just not okay to live like that. You know what I mean? But the circumstances of society still exist. So poverty, marginalized communities. And so when you have things like that exist, you're always going to have gangs, drugs, and the like, because that's just, it kind of goes hand in hand, So the blessing in my life is that I get to be a part of a solution. You know what I mean? I'm currently vice president of operations at Homeboy Industries. We are the largest gang reentry and rehabilitation center on the planet. We currently have 450 either formerly incarcerated people or actually formerly involved in gangs, people that are trainees in our program right now. We have 14 social enterprises, and we use those businesses to hire people that have been affected by that lifestyle and that are coming home from incarceration to, to one work. And that's a big part of it is like, we're an employment first program, but the real work we believe is the internal work, working on themselves, healing from their lifestyle, even pre-gang stuff. And then, of course, complex trauma that comes along with being a part of a gang and incarceration. So we have wraparound services. We provide case management, navigation, therapy. We have over 99 self-help groups that we run Monday through Friday, and they participate in this. And that's what I get to do with my life today. So
it's incredible. Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to get over there with you guys a bit and mix it up. But the homeboy story is this is not recent. You know what I mean? Like I remember just anecdotally, coming up growing up in LA, I played for a baseball organization called the East LA Dodgers. And I remember hearing about Father G back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you go to this facility now, and it's like I was just telling you as you pulled up today, like place is packed. All kinds of stuff going on, and it's just a testament to a vision. It's wild, and this role that you're in now is a newer progression, right? Like, yeah. So tell me about like how you got involved, and then this. You're the guy over there, bro.
Yeah, I mean, man, I sometimes feel like I'm living in a dream.
Yeah,
a really good dream.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I walked through the doors as a client over 12 years ago. Well, just about 12 years ago, actually. And I was fresh out of prison. I had lived my whole life, just kind of that way that we were talking about, like that, the samurai way, whatever you want to call it, thinking that I was going to die like that, and that was the only way to live. But at the same time, I always wanted to take care of my responsibilities, always wanted to make sure that I did the right thing, whatever that meant to me at the time. And for me, it was, I had to get a job. I was fresh out of prison. I just did 6 years. I did 4 and 6 back to back. So I was fresh. It felt like, gone a decade because I was only home for like 5 months. Did 4 years, came home for 5 months, went right back and did another 6. Interesting thing about that time is when I came home, I felt like I wasn't acclimating anymore. Just felt like I didn't fit in out here.
And the first time you felt different?
Yeah, the first time I really felt like I just didn't fit in anymore.
Is that because you were you're in a different spot in your...
Yeah, I think it was based off of a lot of things I had went through during that last term. Mm-hmm. My mother had died. I was maturing. I had these internal dialogues. I started to have self-reflection, which I never had really growing up. And I just started to really think about my life. And I was in a sad place, really, to be honest. I was in a really sad, dark, depressed place because I, went to prison and actually I fought a life sentence for a crime I didn't commit. Ended up having to plea out because you just don't take that chance when you're living that life. So I could have went to trial, maybe won, but I'm all tatted up. I'm documented, violent crimes, violent history all my life. So I said, as my public defender goes, hey, we're gonna have to plea out, regardless. Like I just think that just based off of your background and everything, the risk, I would have got 55 years of life had I lost that case. So I plead out. I was supposed to actually take 7. That was the plea bargain. And I thought I signed for 7, but when I got to the state, it was 6 years. And I was like, wow, that was a blessing, But then shortly after that, my mother died. And the thing about that, it wasn't just like my mother died. And, that happens to everybody's parents. Everybody eventually that we love we're going to eventually lose them. But for me, during that time, like our relationship was estranged. And growing up, my mother was also a gang member. She was from my neighborhood as well. But she began to battle with like substance abuse issues. So she went from being a gang member to battling like a super powerful drug addiction. And when you're a kid growing up, you don't know anything really. You don't have any insight or don't know what they're going through. And
just your mom.
Yeah, just my mom. And I started to resent her. I started to blame her for being poor, you know what I mean, and not having shit. And as I got older, the resentments got bigger and didn't have no process. Like I said, didn't have nobody to talk to about this shit. It's just kind of like we live this life and it is what it is, And I'll give you an example just to give you context. So homies from my neighborhood would come to me and they say, hey, your mom's getting high over here. You should probably go check on her. And my response to them was, I don't have a mother, homie. That's just how hurt I was at the time. So I'm locked up and you know, I had just left the county and caught the train to Lancaster. And as soon as I got to Lancaster, I got word that she had died. Oh man, you know, so I guess deep down inside, I always thought, well, one day we'll fix this shit. You know, we'll patch it all up. I ran out of time. It's crazy, dog, because you talk about time. My grandmother, her mom, I would leave the house when I was a kid. And before I would leave, my grandmother had these little like seeds she would plant, these little like sayings she would have, right? Yeah, right? Brilliant, homie. And when you're young growing up, you don't think about it at the time, but it's just liquid gold, dog. Yeah. And every time I would leave the house, my grandma would say, Jose. And I'd be like, what's up, grandma? And she would say, we're living on borrowed time. And I would jam, all right, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but I would go out in the street and live as if I was going to live forever, you know?
Yeah, and you're looking at her and she's 100 to
exactly,
you. Exactly,
like, right? Like,
what borrowed time?
What do you know? Yeah. You know, but also, too, what do you know? What do you know about my life?
Yeah.
Little did I know, you know, she knew everything about my life. And she would say that all the time. And so, yeah, time ran out. You know, time that I thought I had, or I don't know, maybe not even thinking about time the way that I should have. And she died. And when she died, the interesting thing is this, like a part of me died too. I didn't know it at the time though. I didn't know. This kind of goes back to the samurai.
Yeah.
Like the already dead ones, right? And this goes back to death where you can't have life without death. But also I think that something has to die in order for something else to live. And I didn't know it at the time, but something inside of me had died.
Yeah.
So what it felt like was, you know, they say like you get your heart broken in life or whatever. Like I've had my heart broken. You hear people say that all the time. This shit was like my soul was broken, dog. This was like a brokenness I had never felt before. I had been through heartache and heartbreak and all that. And I was always able to just push through it like nothing. Push it down and just move on. As much as I tried to do that with this, oh man, I couldn't do it, dog.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're probably in an environment that's not really set up to be going through that.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah.
You're not really like.
You're not. Yeah, it's
let
not.
Me grab a cry real quick.
Exactly. Yeah, or you know what? Let me mourn.
That's not it.
No, and not at all. Not at all. This is the thing about that life as well, is like any vulnerability can be considered a sign of weakness, and people would take advantage of that, and maybe not in that moment, but maybe later, maybe strategically, and really you just had to kind of stuff it down. But that's even a reason of why I thought like, okay, well, I'm gonna get past this. Cause I do this, like I know how to maneuver and navigate. Yeah, like this is chess, not checkers, and I've done this all my life. So, okay, given that fact that these are the circumstances that I'm in, even more so, do I have to stuff this down and move past it? So I'm thinking, okay, how long is this shit gonna take? Stuff it down, move past it. I've done this all my life. It's been a practice of mine. It's how I've survived. No matter what I did or how I did it, working out, getting up in the morning, programming, stuffing it down, there was no dog. It was one of the hardest things I had ever been through in my life. Literally, I would wake up and it felt like just this darkness, dark cloud, whatever dark energy was holding me down. Like I had to literally like get up and like do whatever I could to like feel like it wasn't on my back. It was horrible. And so, but I also, what it did to me was it also gave me a window into my mother's suffering, because so all my life growing up, like since I was a little boy, you know, everything that I saw growing up, all the things that plagued my household, gang members that were violent, my uncles going in and out of prison, domestic violence, abuse, physical abuse, real scary people, dog. You know, growing up as a kid, I used to know if my uncle was upset just by the way that he would open the door. I knew that it was going to be it was going to be a good day or a bad day.
Yeah.
Growing up, I didn't want to be a gang member. That was the last thing.
Did not.
Yeah, I just didn't want to do that life because I was a kid already seeing what that life brought to my home. And so what's interesting is I became a gang member. And all the things that I was plagued with, the violence, the all the things that I hated growing up, I became. And that's what's just so fascinating about living this life. I'm in prison now, and here I am doing everything I can to stuff this shit down. I used to look down on drug addicts, homie. Like I'd be in prison and I used to, run like a militant program. Like I'll never do drugs. I used to see fools on the yard and be like, I can't even believe.
A lot of judgment.
Yeah, a lot of judgment. After my mother died, shortly after, I started to use drugs. And not knowing it at the time, but trying to self-medicate or whatever. Yeah, cope with this. But regardless, I started to use drugs. And I remember like having these moments with myself going, damn, everything that I hated, I became. Everything I hated, I became. The things that I resented and hurt, I became. And so, that old saying, everywhere you go, there you are. There was no running from this shit. There was no amount of drugs or alcohol I could use that I was getting away from myself. It just wasn't going to happen. I eventually ended up, and I was in and out of the hole, trying to escape this pain.
Can you say a little bit about what the hole is for people?
Yeah, the hole is basically prison in prison.
Yeah.
It's a prison in prison. It's segregated housing. You can have a cellie, or sometimes you can't, depending on how violent you become. You can be on walk alone, but you're pretty much you're in a cell in the back of the prison. Limited movement, like super limited movement. You have no property. If you stay long enough, you'll eventually get a TV and you'll get a little bit of property, but you're pretty much boxers all day, shower shoes. Anytime you move is controlled movement. You do go to yard, but you go to yard and we call them dog kennels. So it's everything. You're in cages. Wherever you go, you're in a cage. Every time you move, you're shackled. And you're just limited everything. And you're left alone with your thoughts. That's what the hole is. In prison, I hear about other prisons in other countries, like physical abuse or labor or whatever. Yeah, we had all that too. But one of the things that the state of California does is they will leave you alone with your thoughts for too long. And actually what happened while I was in the hole, changes started to happen because of that. ACLU came in and I think they won a lawsuit to the CDCR because they were just leaving prisoners in the hole for too long and fools were losing it. So every day there was two people that were, aside from the COs that were allowed to walk the tier, there was two other people that were allowed to walk the tier. And it was a pastor or a priest and a therapist. But this going back to our culture of being in there, we couldn't talk to either one of them. Yeah. It just, yeah. I don't
know much, but I'm not talking to you, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And that's because, insecurities and the structure and the culture and weakness and people thinking, well, I don't know what you're talking to that therapist about. Hopefully it ain't about our business or us, So I'm in the home and I'm feeling everything. I'm feeling everything, man. I'm sobering up and I'm sitting on my bunk and I remember looking at myself and there's these little tiny square mirrors in the hole that are stuck to the wall. And I remember I get up and it was like for the first time ever, I look at my reflection. Like I look myself right in the fucking mirror. And inside of myself, because I have a cellie at this time, but inside of myself, I look at myself and I say to myself, who the fuck are you, man? Like, how did you get to this point? How did you end up here like this? Your mother's dead. You're fucking in here. You're in the hole. Like, how did this happen? I look at myself and then I go and I go back to my bunk and I sit down and I start to think about my life. And for the first time I had ever had any self-reflection or really internal process. I went all the way back to when I was a little boy and I had a vivid memory, dog. Vivid. I'm sitting in front of one of those old TVs with the tuner on it. Click, click, click. You got Batman maybe if you catch it, or then you got to put some foil on the. And I'm sitting in front of an old ass TV like that, and I'm little, I'm young. I don't know how old I was. I'm young, and I'm watching Family Matters.
Okay.
And I'm looking at the tube, and I'm looking at Carl's Winslow come home from work, and the mom and the dad, and I'm just like fucking yearning for a family like that. Everything in me is just like, I want that family. I want a dad, and I want a mom, and I want to have dinner, and I want to be seen. And then here I am, I'm sitting in the hole on a bunk, a metal slab, and I'm like, fuck. She's gone, and I'm never gonna have a life like that. It's over. Any hope of a life like that is over. And it was just, it was dark, homie. It was tough.
Yeah, we got to go visit Lancaster, and there's no way I'm getting the sentence out without crying. But you do the little EQ, emotional intelligence kind of camp games, right? Stand on the line, and then step forward if X, and then. So it's a bunch of us volunteers and some guys, 25 to life, it's talking about entrepreneurship. That's why we're all there. And the questions start light, step back from the line or step forward from the line if you like country music, stupid shit. And man, so it's all of us who are out on one side and all the guys that are in on the other side. And the question was, step forward if you had a mother or a father put you to bed every night and tell them that they love you growing up. And it's like every one of us, step forward, and there's nobody on the other side. And just thinking about you yearning for such a basic, important thing. It's powerful, And he fast forward, and here we are. One of the things I admire about you, there's a certain level of awareness that I think most adults won't have. Just, you wake up and turn 40, you wake up, you turn 50, you just do the thing, And man, I'm just always blown away by you. Some of my sober friends as well, some of basically all the people in my life that have done incredible things or been through remarkable things are fortunate enough, I think, to earn this self-awareness that kind of hope that we all would find some way to get to. I hope I can, get there. But so I'll use some language in our side of the camp. So we're here talking about leadership a lot. We're here talking about growth a lot. And part of that process is something called the subject-object shift. Some people who are listening have heard me talk about this. Forgive me. I think it's an important topic. And we are all, even you right now and me right now, we're subject to reality in a way that we don't recognize. That's the subjectivity part. There's a famous David Foster Wallace commencement speech where he tells the story that the old fish swims up to the two little fish, and the old fish is like, "Hey boys, how's the water?" And then swims away, and the little fish are like, "What's water?" Because this is just what we're in all the time.
That's right. Yeah. So we kind of merge with our environment.
It's just you're unaware of it, right? And through increasing awareness, you can make things that you're subject to more objective.
Okay.
The way you talk about parts of you and your experience has made these things that you used to be subject to objective. You told me a story one time, not to like, get into all the details, but you told me a story one time of being in the grocery store after you got out. And you're like, oh, I'm anxious in here because of my experience in there. Mm-hmm. But you've made that objective. You know that. And now that gives you agency. You can do something about that. Most guys are just anxious and they don't know what the fuck time it is. And they're experience this subjective thing. And I think a lot of growth in life is trying to find awareness around what we're subject to, and there's incredible wisdom in that. As you were talking about grief, you said we don't want to let parts of us die, right? And a mentor of mine, Dr. Kara Miller, talks about growth. Everyone I've ever met's like, I want to grow, I want to be better, I want to whatever. And what's not talked about a lot in that is what you will lose to do that, and grieving that, I think anybody who's listening to this, if you're a human, you probably have some story going on, like I know I do, which is your strategies for moving through life that got you here, that like have served you so well, they work great until they don't.
Exactly.
Right. And I'm hearing you kind of reflect on some of these things, and I'm hearing some of that of like, I came up and I had these certain strategies and ways of being that made me great at what I did. They helped me survive. They kept me safe. And then the shift happened for you on that like second term. Your mom passes, and it's like, oh, I have to step into this new thing. What do you feel are some of the things that you had to let go of to move into this newer version of you? Like, do you feel like there's parts that like, man, this is an old strategy for me?
Everything had to change.
Yeah.
Everything. Man, you're making me think about a lot though, just in terms of everything you're saying about how we develop and this sense, this self-awareness, and how do we get it? Where does it come from? We all have opportunities, I think, to like attain it or to connect to it, I believe. Mm-hmm. I do. I really do. I think it comes from loss. And we all lose something. Sometimes, even if you really pay attention every day, we lose something. We lose sleep. We lose time. We lose somebody we love. Mm-hmm. We lose opportunities. And it's not really about the loss. It's about like what happens or what do we allow happen to us after the loss.
The response.
Yeah, the response to it. And sometimes the response can be as simple as just keep getting back up. Like no matter what. And the lesson will come, not the loss, but the lesson will come eventually. But sometimes we don't get back up. Sometimes we just decide to stay down. Like we just decide to stay in anxiety. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm anxious. I'm just going to stay in it. Not going to try to figure anything else out or do anything about it. And I think for me is like just a lot of lessons that I look back at now they're so simple, but I had a hard time because I guess I thought that things had to be more complicated or more harder than they actually are, and it was like these simple things. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. It's like nature itself teaches us about loss. Every season, homie, the tree, it sheds all of its leaves, not just one or two or all of them. They're gone. You know what I mean? Like you can come out and take a picture of a tree, and I've done this before, like beautiful tree, homie, beautiful. Be like, why wouldn't you just stay like that? You know what I mean? It's so beautiful. Somebody might paint you, but the tree goes, nah, everything got to go. It's a fucking clearance sale. You know what I mean? Everything must go. And we as humans don't do that. We have a hard time cleaning the house. And that's why, like, some of the dudes, when you talk about sober dudes, like, when it comes to sobriety and stuff like that, like, one of the things that they teach you is, yeah, definitely you acknowledge the problem that you have. But the problem that we think we have was actually a solution. When they say we drink and we use, like, that was my solution. My solution had to change. But before it could change, I had to clean house. Like, I had to clean house. I had to get rid of some shit. You know what I mean? And what I had to get rid of everything. Like, everything must go. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's connected again to death. And I'll give you an example of how it's connected to my stories, because at the time, what I thought was the worst thing that was happening to me, homie, was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, dog. My mother did more for me in death than she was able to do for me in life. But I didn't even know it at the time because I was so unaware. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I had to embrace it. At a certain point, I had to embrace it fully. Like, and I do to this day. It comes up. I feel it because it's a practice. This ain't just one and done. This is one of those things where I have to really embrace that shit, where it's like, holidays come. I go, man, driving. I want my mom. Like, I would just want to have a mom and go back into that little boy of, like, the family and okay, it's done, dog. Like, you're not going to have that here on this physical earth. Like, she's not here physically. All right. But I can create it with my children. You get what I'm saying? Like, okay, I can do something similar to that. But that other part, and I have to face that fact, is like, she's dead. Physically, she's gone, you know? And it was the same thing I had to do back then. At a certain point, I could either decided to stay like that and to just be like, it is what it is. Fuck it. I'm gonna rock like this. Or you know what? I'm gonna get up in the mirror, that little tiny ass mirror. I'm gonna look myself in the eye and I'm gonna face it. And that's where that's where I think that's the process for all of us, is like accepting and then embracing and leaning into it. Cause that was also a tool for me in that life. Like, cause anybody that gets locked up will tell you, day one is horrible, homie.
You've told me about
right? Day one is like you're locked up and you're in this box and you're like, any human being is like, get me the fuck out of here. I'm going to pace. I'm going to count holes on the ceiling. But at a certain point, you're like, I just need to get out of here. Like, if I had hair, I would rip it out. You feel me? Because that's just your human response.
Yeah,
like, I need.
Freaking out.
Yeah. I mean, for any of the viewers that have never been locked up, try this. Lock yourself in the restroom. Just lock the door with no phone, no nothing, and just stay in there from the moment the sun comes up to the moment the sun goes down. You're going to want to get the fuck out of there, right? So then at a certain point, anybody that can, keep their sanity goes, oh, I'm here. That's it. There's no key. I'm not going. There's no way out of this. I'm going to lean into it. Boom, what can I do? I'm going to do some push-ups. Fuck it. I'm going to do some push-ups. Okay. You hit the yard, you end up in a prison and it's violent and you're scared, homie. Like, I don't care who you are. You hit that yard, I don't care how big you are, how bad you are. You go, damn, this can go south really fast. And it is going to go south. And you know it is. And your fear and your anxiety and everything, your panic. And then at a certain point, you just look and you go, huh? It is what it is. I'm going to nosedive into this shit. You know what I mean? And then you have this peace come over you. You know what I'm saying? Then you have this transformation where then you go, oh, okay, I could do this. This is where I'm at. It is what it is. And the same goes for change. It's so uncomfortable. And you know this just from like exercise. You get people that the first time they ever pick up a dumbbell, it's uncomfortable. It's foreign. It's like, but then at a certain point, you got to decide that shit's not going to lift itself, homie. It's not. You got to get up. You got to go over there and grab it and you got to pick it up.
Yeah.
And you got to lift it. This morning with my son, my youngest son, I go for my little jog, I come back, I tell him, I go, hey, Pop, I see him with his iPad. I go outside with me. He's like, oh, no. I go get your Crocs and go outside with me. So he comes out and I see he has two dumbbells and he's like lifting them and it's weird.
Yeah.
It's foreign. And I can see him like, okay. And I'm like, hey, look, try like this. And he's like, okay. And he's like, I just want to go back inside. I say, you're not going to go inside. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So this is where we're at. Lift the dumbbell, Pop.
Yeah.
Lift it. First set. Weird. And then, you know, I see him and like you can see it in somebody. You know, we're humans, we can recognize change or transformation. We can see it. And at a certain point, I see him accept the fact that he's not going back inside.
Right. Yeah.
He's gonna lift these dumbbells. He made peace with it, dog.
Yeah, that's right.
He made peace with it. And guess what? I look at him and I'm like, dog, this dude is lifting the dumbbells correctly. Then he does one set. He goes, how many I got to do? I go, you got 5 of those. Okay. And he does the next set and the next set and so on and so forth. But something changed in him in that moment. Now, some of these changes are small. Some of these changes are big. But I think we're all blessed with the opportunity to change at any given time, no matter where we're at in our life, no matter where we're at physically, age-wise, like we're presented these opportunities. And I just think, and I don't know how that, like how we get people to choose. I don't know. I think that all has to come from us as individuals, but at a certain point, we got to choose.
Here's something I'm curious about. And this could feel like square peg, round hole, but I really don't think it is. You know, I'm fascinated with group dynamics, teams, organizations, like how we get weird, like how we're effective, all these different dynamics. And gang culture, which I have no experience with, I've learned a lot from you with, probably, I assume, has kind of universal tendencies that all organizations have. And one of those tendencies is like espoused values. So like the stuff you say you're about versus like what really manifests. And sometimes when organizations can't reconcile that, that's like their Achilles heel. It's like the thing that's holding them back. And so the way I want to frame the question is, based on past conversations, I've learned from you that you are very much all the way in that lifestyle, in an authentic way. And obviously at a certain point, you're like, actually, this isn't for me. There was a transition away from that. Were there moments in prison or out of prison where you saw things, where you learned things, or you thought about the organization, so to speak, differently, where you're like, you know what, maybe this isn't honor for me anymore, or this is, you know what I mean? Like,
where you kind of get to see how the sausage is made.
Yeah. I guess just talk to me about like, it's almost like, the cheesy way to say it is like, give me the review of like gang culture. Like, where is it going well and has like legitimate like qualities that are like, this actually works. Like I see leadership here, I see whatever effectiveness here, or where does it break down? Like, and were there shifts there?
Yeah, I think that if it was a really great thing, I don't think any of us would want out of it. You know what I mean? I think that I think every gang member, I can't say this with certainty, but this is what my perspective is. Everybody at a certain point wants out of that lifestyle. Because what you would see on TV, or, you know, even in terms of like moving as a unit or working as a team, like all that stuff happens at times or in moments where necessity, if you're in the county jail and, you know, there's going to be a riot, or if you're in prison and stuff's going down, it's out of necessity, but it's never out of like, a desire from your heart. You know what I mean? Because how can I put it like this without even, because I one thing I don't ever do is like put anybody down that's living like that. Right. I believe, hey, where you're at is where you're at, you know, and that's where you're at. That's cool. And if it brings you joy, and then by all means, homie, do that shit to the fullest. But for me, it got to a point where it no longer brought me joy. I seen what I needed to see. It was like being on a team of, you know, insecure athletes. So picture you're on a team and you're expecting you want to win the championship, but like every athlete is like fucking tripping you, or, you know, one false move and you're out, or like, it's just, but it also too, I also have compassion because hurt people hurt people. So I know now, looking back on it, having this reflection on it, is like, damn, there's no way that anybody can love me or I can even love them. I'll give you an example. I had a conversation with one of my homeboys years ago now. And one day he comes in and I just live differently. I don't live like that anymore. I'm a civilian. Yeah. I say that with, I'm proud that I am. Yeah. And one day he comes and goes, hey, what happened to you, homie? I remember like you used to love us and shit. And I go, man, homie, if I'm being honest with you, I never loved you. I never loved you. He goes, what? I go, homie, I didn't even love myself. And because I didn't love myself, I did not have the capacity to love you. Because anybody that loves you should want the best for you. Anybody that loves you should want to see you succeed. Anybody that loves you should not want to see you in prison. They should actually, if they had to, put their body in the way of you from fucking committing a crime. Because that's how much they love you. And me, because I didn't love myself, I did not have the capacity to love you. So that's what that kind of team is made up of, I guess, in a sense, is you just hurt people that can hurt people. And not because they're bad people, because they're not. You meet so many good people, great hearts, and, are amazing, but have the potential to hurt you because they don't necessarily love themselves. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's kind of the gist of it, of what it is. And it was like that from the very beginning.
In hindsight, probably.
Yeah.
When you were there, going through.
Yeah, when you were going through it. Yeah. But as I look back in retrospect, it was like that and I'll give you an example. Your initiation process is literally, homie, like a beat down. You get what I'm saying? And like I said, this is no judgment to the lifestyle, but this is just for us to, like, as a society, to look at what this is, right? So it's, us, we're sitting here, we're friends, and, another dude comes and wants to be friends with us, and then we go, well, you want to be with us? Well, we're going to fuck you up.
It's a weird first start.
Right? And we're going to beat you down pretty bad.
Yeah.
And if you survive the beating, after we're done beating on you, we're going to hug you and embrace you. And we're going to whisper things like, I love you. I got you. Mm. So in retrospect, it's tainted from the first experience. Because now what is love? Is love me beating on you and hitting on you? And we say things like that when we're coming up going, you know what? That's the homie. I love him. I'll beat him down so that he can learn. I'd rather beat him down than have someone else beat him down.
Yeah. I mean, I had maybe one of the top 3 most profound conversations in my life with you at that picnic table over there with some guys. And one of the things you were talking about was like unwinding some of these confusing messages.
Yeah.
Of what is love, what is intimacy. The example you gave then was like, there were different guys at the table and you were like, yo, hey, so-and-so was from another neighborhood and I knew him then. And like, we would have problems. If I was to run into him on a Wednesday, we're going to have problems.
Yeah.
But then we get locked up maybe on a Thursday.
And we're allies.
I would die for that dude.
Yeah.
Right. And then you got to get out of this system and try to navigate life. It's just, it's a confusing thing. I'm doing a lot of personal work. I'm curious about this idea of our family of origin. And it's not always just your family. Are you plugged in on that?
Yeah, no. But just saying that, because you're making me think, like, as you're sharing that about the gang stuff, it's like, but how many of us in society have something that we're passing on to the people that we say that we love?
Everybody.
In a relation, imagine in a relationship when we think love is being mean to somebody, mm-hmm. or putting them down, or every time they have an idea, we go, let me just tell you how that shit won't work. Because that happened to us. Just like with the gang stuff, is the violent tendencies of the expression of love was through violence, right? But how many of us in society today, aside from the gang culture, go, well, my dad used to always fucking shit on my conversation. So I love my wife, but every time she brings something up, I'm going to go, no, that sounds like a stupid idea. Yeah. Because I love her. I want to prevent her from having pain, but is that really love? Like, how many things have been instilled in us that are not necessarily like true love. But it was a love that we felt, a love that was shared with of somebody, a parent, an uncle, an aunt, a teacher, somebody that was actually meant to love you, but maybe didn't have the capacity at that time to love you.
Totally. And that goes back to this subject object thing we talked about a second ago, where it's like most people are sort of being affected by that unconsciously. They don't know. Like you gave the made up example of the guy putting down his wife because that's his sort of programming, so to speak, but unconsciously, and the idea of like, oh, that's why I do that.
Yeah. Like, how do we unpack it?
Yeah. Yeah. How do we?
Yeah. And hopefully this conversation, because it's not just, it doesn't, like, what I've been able to see now is that, yeah, there's certain practices, values, and things in this lifestyle, this gang culture lifestyle. But us as human beings, we have tendencies. They come from somewhere, comes from an experience. I believe our experiences shape us. They do. They shape the way we see ourselves, and they shape the way we see ourselves in the world and the way we see others. They just do. It happens. And it's not, I'm not saying like I'm not no judgment. Like we're not at fault, but we're at fault once we know. Like when we know better, we should do better. And it's hard because that's another thing that's hard. It goes back to training. It's like, we got to have a practice. Like, I got to know, okay, I'm fucking up. I did it. Okay, my apologies. Let me try to fix this. What can I do differently? Okay, now maybe it's not what can I do differently. Like, how do I just uproot this and change it altogether? Like, what does this need to be replaced by? Maybe it's flipping it on its back. Maybe like going back to the idea of like just short stopping someone's plans or hopes or dreams because you feel like you're saving them from the time or the negative experience. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's going yes to everything. Fuck it. Hey, I have an idea. I want to open a popsicle shop. Oh, yes, do it. Yeah. I support you.
Yeah, there's like a meta thing there where in training, physical training or athletic training, there's a saying that, we don't rise to the level, we don't rise to the occasion, is the way the saying goes. There's a figure of speech. I don't know if you've ever heard that, where it's like, yeah, so-and-so is going to rise to the occasion and make a big shot in a game or hit a big home run or whatever. When in reality, we never rise to the level of the occasion. We fall back to the level of our training. And that's a training idea. Okay. But from an interpersonal idea, if you've got 200,000 reps of shitting on people's ideas, a compliment isn't just going to come out of nowhere. You got to start building the reps, Yeah. You get in a tight spot and it's way easier to lie than tell the truth. Like, how many reps you got lying? How many reps you got telling the truth? And it's like building the training to where, hey, under stress, this is who I fall back to be.
Even if it feels foreign.
Yeah.
Because everything about my transformation, everything about it felt foreign.
Yeah.
Felt weird.
It was way easier
felt
to not
like, yeah,
change,
like go to therapy. What? I'll give you an example of how foreign it was for me. My first time in therapy, therapist sitting across from me, she goes, "How you doing today, Jose?" I said, "I'm doing great. How you doing?" She goes, well, I'm doing good. I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions. I said, cool. All right. How'd you grow up? I'm just flipping everything on her.
100%.
Surface level, never got to any of the things I was feeling or experiencing, never got to the supermarket anxiety experience. Are you good? I'm great. I'm great. Just taking notes. In my mind, I'm thinking, what are these notes for? You know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely not going to say nothing now.
Should I be taking notes?
Right? Yeah. And I did that because it was so foreign.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it's like, okay, I got to do something different. If I want a different experience or if I want a different something, I got to do something different.
Yeah.
And I had a homie one time going back to like, what do we need to change or when was it? Or I said to him once, I go, hey, like, what do I got to do, dog? Like, really tell me, like, what do I got to do to change? And he says, well, the good thing is he goes, well, you only got to change one thing. I'm like, wow, okay, one thing. Well, what is it? Like, I want the secret to this shit. And he says, you got to, that one thing is every fucking thing. And it was this big old, like, oh my God, I got
clear. Right?
Yeah, so clear, but also like, this is basically, he was saying to me, this shit's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Like, don't get it twisted. This ain't sunshines and rainbows. This is what you're going to do with your life is going to be hard To make this change is going to be hard. It's so foreign. It goes against everything in me to go sit down with a therapist, to tell them about my problems, to not drink or use, to cope with what I'm feeling, to not be violent, to, if someone flips you off in traffic, to apologize to them. You know what I mean? It goes against everything that I was taught, all the things that were instilled in me.
Yeah.
But it had to happen. And it had to happen little by little for me.
Yeah.
It was one step at a time, one breath at a time, one experience at a time. It didn't happen overnight. It's still, until this day, it has to be a practice.
Yeah. My boy Tate Fletcher says the same thing. He said, I think someone offered him this advice. He's like, your new life, the cost for your new life is your old life.
I like that.
That's what it costs.
That resonates.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue. I think we're getting close to the end here, but so just as we sat down, you started to mention something that you're kind of working on, or you're aware of, and maybe working on, that I resonated with, which was like this connection to like suffering, the grind a bit. Yeah. And so that might be your answer, it might not be, but I want to normalize successful people, leaders, talking about their edges, because I think it's a big mistake to portray this image that people like yourself, a vice president of a globally successful organization, is just like dialed. You know what I mean? And the more people in the world see people in high places in their mind as a finished product who's good to go, makes it less attainable for them. Because I think there's this thing that people do where they notice, we're all experts on our suffering and our weak points because we deal with it every day. And we're generally biased to see only the greatness in other people. It's like a weird reversal, right? So if I wake up every day and I know that I don't feel good, or I'm weak in this area, or struggling here, or I try something and I experience failure, if I take that as a signal that I can never be Jose, because he doesn't have it, I don't see any of that, right? Then I think we're doing people a disservice. Yeah. What you've accomplished so much in terms of changing yourself and your life, but like, what are you still working on? Like, where are your edges right now? Because I know you're actively participating in your life, which I really admire. Is it that struggle attachment? I know I have that. Like, what are some things you're working on right now?
I think for me, all of the above.
Yeah.
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
Depends on the day. I could be working on grief, loss. I could be working on not feeling worthy. Could be working on not feeling like I'm not enough. Could be working also ego. That's the interesting thing about humans. Either we're better than or less than. Why can't we just ever be in the middle? Everybody's the same. Us as humans, better than or less than.
Yeah.
Why can't we just be right here? Because the truth is we are right here. Something that somebody taught me a long time ago, my uncle, he says that, he looks me in the eye, he says, there ain't no gods walking this earth, homie. Ain't no gods walking this. Ain't no Zeuses and no Achilles. He's like, we are all mere mortals.
Cool. No samurais either.
No samurais neither. But definitely no gods.
Yeah.
Which means I think we all, if we can be vulnerable enough to really unpack some shit and be honest, we all really just struggle and deal with the same things.
Yeah.
And we all want the same things. We want to be accepted and we want to be loved. We want to be seen and we want to be heard. And if you go even deeper, we want to also be that for others.
Yeah.
And that's why most of the time we're so uncomfortable with ourselves, because when we're not, it goes back to the tree. The tree knows its role.
Yeah.
The tree produces oxygen for us day in and day out. We can litter. It could rain or not rain. Someone can carve their name into the tree, and the tree, yet it still produces oxygen for us. It knows its role. We get lost in the sauce. Like, I need to be this title, or I need to have this car, or I need to have, what is our function? I think if we unpack, our function is to really breathe life into each other.
Yeah.
If they say that there's a fire burning at the center of the earth, because that's what scientists say, right? Then I say that we're all connected to that fire. Okay, what does that mean? We're embers then of the fire. You're an ember, I'm an ember, he's an ember, he's an ember. What's my role? My role is to breathe life into you until your ember becomes a flame of its own that cannot be put out. Because that's what, as a human, I want that. I want someone to breathe life into me. And I think if I'm honest enough with myself, if I unpack it all about what I want and the car and the title, at the core of my existence, I actually am supposed to be breathing life into others as well. And so to answer the question, I deal with all that shit. But I think that when I'm in my practice, or when I'm like grounded in reality, I know that all humans do too.
Yeah.
And that we're all just mere mortals.
Yeah, it's an odd thing where we, in Los Angeles, they say people ask each other what they do for a living to decide whether or not to respect you more or less, right?
Crazy, huh? Right? No, that's real though.
Wow. Oh, what do you do? And then it's like immediately like, okay, cool, I'm here, or oh shit, like
I'm beneath,
right?
And everyone's thinking the same thing though too.
100%.
That's what I would love to be. If I leave anything with anybody, it's like that we're all thinking the same shit when we walk into a room.
Yeah.
Are they gonna accept me? Are they gonna like me? Am I what they want? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The big practical joke, the paradox, I think, of humans wanting connection, like you said, I really agree with you on that. We typically try to connect in impossible ways. Oh, what do you do? Oh, you're a vice president of Homeboy? Cool. There's only one of those, so I can't be that, right? So immediately not connected, right? Or whatever. Oh, crazy. What car do you drive? Oh, where do you live? What do you make? Those are never going to line up perfectly, right? Yeah. Meanwhile, the thing that we can never talk about is the one thing that we can connect on, which is like this shared human suffering thing, But like that would have been the thing. We would have been like, "Yo, me too, bro." Exactly. But with that's never how we try to connect with each other, So I appreciate you sharing a little bit of that, because you're a boss, man. Your life speaks for itself.
It takes one to know one. Well, you are respect. As well.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. But I think it's like, part of our view of leadership. People have heard me say this a million times. I'll just say it again. It's like misunderstanding this hold the standard thing. It seems like it could be a thing you put on a t-shirt that's like, oh, we're kind of tight or whatever. And that's not what it is. It's the standard is this idealism, this aspirational perfection, and none of us are there. Right. And so holding the standard is like, oh, I'm going to be responsible for how not there I am, which is true for everybody. Yep. And it's a full-time job all the time. Yep. And so
you wake up,
I think it's misunderstood as a flex, when in reality it's the opposite. It's the most humble, subordinate, fucking, I gotta salute the flag and like be better thing, there is. And I think that if you're engaged in that gap, if you're engaged in that gap, you're playing the game of life. And if you're not, you're out. Yeah. Tell us as we get out of here, what you're up to now, because I know you got, the role there at Homeboy, and I'm so excited to be doing more with you guys in the pipeline with, our nonprofit Deuce community. But talk to me about coffee and anything else you got going on.
Yeah, well, definitely that. I look forward to that partnership. We got something in the works right now with Deuce community, the Tyson Foundation, and Homeboy Industries, in terms of this hold the standard that you're talking about, this development, this pathway forward, and whatever that looks like for the individual. and just being a part of that. I'm super excited about that. I've always wanted to do something with you guys, and now it's here.
Yeah.
Like now we're actually going to get more time, and we have like a real clear partnership. And we've always been partners. I mean, you guys are the ones too that really helped to really like our first gym ever, and it's like a straight backyard gym. But I mean, that has helped us in just amazing ways that I can't even articulate. So many people have found healing through that, because it's mind, body, and spirit. And the body's a huge part of this too. So I'm excited about that collaboration. And then coffee, of course, love coffee, drink it every day. And, you know, I have a coffee shop, Tepito Coffee, which is in Pasadena. Cool. I want to look at more ways that we can partner as well. But just anybody that's interested can go to tepitocoffee.com or come visit us, 695 East Colorado. We're right in front of Roman's Bookstore. Cool. It's the largest and oldest bookstore in Southern California.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A lot of history there. Right. So
cool.
Yeah. And just everything else. I mean, life.
Yeah. Anything else for the audience before we get out of here? Or?
I think we're good.
You're the man, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Man, this was good.
This is cool. Thanks.
It's an honor to be here with you, though. For real.
Pleasure.
Seriously.
Same. I love being around you, bro. So
likewise. I hold you in high regards, homie.
Same.
Real talk.
I've had some of the most profound conversations in my life with Jose, period. Most of them are on the picnic table right behind me over here. The details of those conversations will likely never make it on a podcast, but I hope that what you gathered wisdom-wise and frankly just the remarkable humanity that Jose exudes every day, I hope that really shined through and you got something from that. If you feel compelled to make an impact for some of society's most often discarded humans, please visit homeboyindustries.org or deucecommunity.org and help us change lives. Next episode is a full-form conversation with one of the greatest to ever do it in breakdancing. B-boy, choreographer, and actor Kid David is an artist of a different kind, from a family of artists. And he is an artist of movement. And I can't wait for him to drop some of his style all over your eardrums. Oh, we'll see you next time.
One of the most valued things in breaking is individuality.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why I was, made an impact I did and very respected was because of the choices I made in the dance, right? So I think one of the things that makes breaking so unique is this ability to, like, I don't know if it's cliche or whatever to say, find yourself, but express yourself in a way that's like, I don't have to say anything. If I go out there and I'm honest, you get to see parts of my soul that I cannot put into words. You're just going to see it with the right moment with a song or like, and I can't explain that side of me.
That's right.
It's something you just have to see happen.
That's right.